Hello everyone! Tonight, we are brushing the dust off something delicate. You are here kneeling on the attic floor, a cold wooden board pressing through your jeans, a slant of moonlight catching on something caught between the rafters. You haven't touched it yet. You're staring. Because the teeth of the comb are gleaming, but some of them are tangled with hair. Pale, colorless strands, thinner than breath, and curling softly as if they've never stopped growing. You probably won't survive. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. Let me know where you're listening from and what time it is there. Now, turn off the lights, maybe turn on the fan for some soothing noise, and let's get started tonight. You don't remember ever seeing this attic. The floor feels wrong under your palms, too soft in places like fabric just beneath the wood. There's a smell of old camphor and crushed chamomile, like something that once tried to be comforting and gave up. You tell yourself it's just insulation, or maybe nesting mice. Or maybe you shouldn't speak aloud to yourself up here. That third guess gives you the shivers. Congratulations, you're learning. The comb is carved bone, not plastic, not wood. Bone thin as pressed shell. There's a faint floral pattern at the spine, roses or poppies or something that once resembled petals, now softened with wear. You want to say it belonged to your grandmother. Or someone's grandmother. Maybe that neighbor's great-aunt who used to wave at your window before she disappeared. Maybe no one. Maybe it's always been here waiting for someone just curious enough. You lift it gently. The teeth catch the light in uneven places. One is cracked near the base, as if someone clamped down too hard trying to comb a tangle that refused to yield. The hairs still woven through it. Yes, they're real, have no root, no color, no history. You're not sure what bothers you more, the idea that they never belonged to anyone. Or that they did and that someone was never born. One odd detail you swear they hum. Not a song, not quite, but a sound like breath through grass or air across hollow reeds. You turn your head to check for wind, but the attic is sealed. You check your phone, but it's dead or just won't turn on, which is worse. There's a small square box beneath where the comb was resting. You lift the lid. Velvet inside, a place where something used to rest. But it's empty now except for dust and a folded paper scrap. Written in a looping, old-fashioned script, do not name her. The braid is unfinished. You almost laugh. That's what your hairdresser says when you get up too early. Still, your scalp tingles now. The kind of phantom itch that feels like memory or guilt. You're not sure why you reach up and check your own hair, but you do. Every time you move the comb near it, the attic light dims just slightly. Not flickers, just dulls. There's a story from the Aegean Islands from centuries ago about combs like these. Carved from whalebone or ox horn, they were gifted to midwives to help unravel cursed births when children were born with no cry or mothers spoke in tongues after labor. One comb in particular was said to grow colder with each use until the hand that held it went numb. Some say it ended up in a drawer in Thessaloniki confiscated by archaeologists during a coastal excavation of a burial mound that didn't officially exist. Others argue the comb was never real, just a metaphor for unraveling bloodlines and braided shame. Some researchers still argue whether the so-called mother twining artifacts ever held cultural function beyond superstition. One scholar claimed the teeth weren't for hair at all, but for aligning woolen threads used in funerary dolls. She was politely ignored at the conference. No one likes a killjoy. Still, your hair feels heavier now. Or maybe your head just aches. You tuck the comb into your pocket, telling yourself you'll put it back later. That's what everyone says in these stories. But you don't want to leave it alone. And besides, it feels like if you put it down, it will be closer next time. A joke to keep your hands steady. You could sell it on eBay as antique hair relic. Possibly cursed, LOL. But you'd have to lie in the listing, not about the curse, about the antique part. This thing doesn't feel old, it feels paused. You climb down from the attic with the comb in your pocket and the folded note in your other hand. The note now reads differently. Somehow, or maybe it never changed, Maybe you did. The words now shimmer faintly when you hold them to the light. She knots her name into every strand. Speak only in silence. You tell yourself you'll forget that by morning. That if you sleep soon, the pressure in your temples will pass, and the faint pulling behind your ears will fade. You'll toss the comb in a drawer and forget. That's what you tell yourself anyway. You don't notice that your reflection in the mirror has begun brushing its hair with something you haven't unpacked yet. The dream begins with brushing. You don't know you're asleep. That's how these things work. You only know that your arm moves slowly back and forth, and the comb is warm in your hand now, though it never warms. The strands it pulls through are endless, soft as fog, weightless as regret. The mirror shows only your back. The window beside you shows nothing at all. You wake with your fingers still moving, brushing through air. The comb rests on the pillow beside you. You didn't put it there. The morning is pale, quiet, too still for summer. Your phone still refuses to turn on. No messages, no calls. The wall clock has stopped. The second hand ticks, but it doesn't move forward. It sounds like breathing. You check the bathroom mirror. Your hair looks combed. Neat. Unnaturally so. Each strand perfectly parted as if someone arranged it one follicle at a time. There's no part of you that wants to believe you did that in your sleep. But there it is. And on the counter, right where your toothbrush should be, the comb waits. Still humming. In the kitchen, you find something that wasn't there yesterday. A tiny clipping of hair. Pale. Curled. Not yours. Not anyone's. It lies curled on the cutting board, nestled like a shrimp. You flick it away and try not to think about where it landed. Maybe you should leave the house. There's a folklore detail from the Finnish kantalitar. Old poetic songs passed down long before print. One speaks of a bridal comb carved from the rib of a child who never breathed, gifted to a woman, whose 7 daughters vanished before speech. Each comb tooth bore a name not yet written. If she tried to brush her hair with it, the youngest girl's cry could be heard faintly in the room, even though the girl had never been born. They said the comb was for memory, or for warning, or more rarely for invitation. You walk outside looking for movement for life. There are none of the usual signs, no birdsong, no wind. Even the neighbor's wind chime hangs motionless. You tap it. It answers with a low note that doesn't belong to its scale. The sound stays in your bones longer than it stays in the air. A breeze should follow. It doesn't. You think of the note. She knots her name into every strand. Who is she? A comb is not a weapon, but it is a tool. A tool for untangling, for organizing, for parting one thing from another. And sometimes in ancient burial rites, a parting of that kind was spiritual. The Etruscans, for example, included ornate combs in tombs, sometimes broken ritual fractures to loosen the soul's braid before it could pass. One ivory comb discovered near Tarquinia still bore remnants of human hair fused into the enamel. Some scholars say it was never used in life, only in death. Others insist the opposite. Still, the bones tell us only so much. The hair, though, the hair keeps secrets longer. Back inside, your reflection continues to behave itself, but not perfectly. You notice now it blinks a moment after you do. Not much. Just a breath behind. You blink again. So does it. Slow, delayed, compliant. Like a child told to imitate someone until the lesson takes hold. You smile. It doesn't. You don't remember ever smiling like that. Another joke. You could call your reflection New You and start charging rent. Except New You has been brushing your hair while you sleep, and frankly, that's already more personal than roommates should get. Besides, she probably wouldn't sign a lease. Her handwriting looks like breath caught in a spider's web. There's a knock at the door. 3 soft taps. You freeze. It doesn't happen again. You wait. Count to 10. Another 10. You open the door. There's nothing there, no one. But lying neatly on the doormat is an old envelope. Yellowed, slightly damp, sealed with wax. No address, No stamp, just your name written on the front in a careful backward hand. Mirror script. You bring it in. Break the seal. Inside another note. You are combing her into existence. Thank you. Underneath that, in smaller writing, she will take your face last. The rest is already borrowed. Somewhere deep in the hallway mirror, you see something shift, not move. Shift. Like a fold in fabric that wasn't there before. A slight distortion in the corner. You stare until your eyes water. Then blink, and it's gone. The comb lies on the kitchen table now, though you didn't bring it there. A strand of hair hangs from one of the teeth. Black this time, not pale. You don't know what color your hair used to be. That should bother you. It doesn't quite. You try to throw the comb out. It won't go. You walk 3 blocks to the old storm drain and drop it in. You hear it clink against the metal below. You walk home. It's back on the kitchen counter before you've taken off your shoes. Some researchers still argue whether objects can carry intention, whether a handmade thing once used, often enough by someone with sorrow or longing, can echo the mind that shaped it. There's a fringe theory that likens hair to memory cords, biological filaments, where emotion and trauma might linger like scent in cloth. That theory has never been published. The grad student who suggested it left mid-semester citing a persistent case of being followed. You sleep with your head under the blanket now. No brushing tonight. You whisper not tonight like it will help. But you hear it anyway. That slow dragging sound, back and forth, back and forth. You're not moving, so someone is. You don't own that many mirrors. That's what comforts you at first. 2, maybe 3. One in the bathroom, the old hallway fixture, and the compact tucked away in your coat pocket since winter. Small enough to forget. Until today. Because today there are 7. You count them twice. Then a third time. There is now a mirror inside the pantry door. Another on the floor of your bedroom closet, perfectly balanced like a silver pool. You press your fingers against it. It's warm. Not just room temperature. Warm. Like skin. You do not press again. The comb has not moved from the windowsill. But there's a change in it. The hair wound through the teeth has thickened. Where before it was a loose curl, now it's braided clumsily like a child's first attempt. As if someone with small hands and no face has been practicing. You feel the shape of a joke rising, but it gets tangled. Instead, you sit on the floor as if watching it might discourage it. The way someone might stare down a cat trying to knock something over. You expect it to twitch, to shift, to hum, but it doesn't. The comb just waits, the braid just grows. In 2016, an archaeological dig in the Judean hills unearthed a comb made from elephant ivory with an inscription in early Canaanite script. May this tusk root out the lice of the hair and the beard. It was mundane. Funny even. A long-dead parent's version of don't forget to wash your hair. Scholars were charmed, and yet others noticed something odd: the spacing of the letters, the regularity of the lines, the way the prayer seemed written for someone not yet living. Some researchers now argue it wasn't meant for humans at all, that perhaps it was part of a funerary practice meant to soothe spirits into forgetting the lives they never had. You know, like a bedtime story but told to bones. You stare at the comb. You wonder who has been whispering to it in your sleep. Another knock at the door. This time 4 taps. You don't answer. You peek through the peephole. No one. But this time the hallway light is off, not broken off. You flick the switch. Nothing. The bulbs have been unscrewed. Deliberately, carefully, like someone didn't want to be seen delivering the next envelope. Which is there, of course. Balanced gently atop your mailbox, sealed in wax again. You bring it in. Inside, you left a space. She filled it. That's what she does. Underneath an ink so faint it's almost invisible. The strand you pulled last night, keep it. It is not hers. It's yours. You look around the room. There is a single silver hair on the table. You didn't notice it before. It's short, finer than the rest. You hold it to the light. It curls at the end like a question mark. Another joke your first in hours. This is what it must feel like to ghost yourself, to keep finding parts you left behind, to discover you've been haunting your own house from the inside out. The hallway mirror has changed again. Now when you pass it, your reflection looks slightly younger. Not better, just earlier. The version of you that still had that coat, still parted your hair that way, still lived with a certain type of quiet hope. You pause in front of it and the reflection smiles first. Then something happens that doesn't feel like imagination. The reflection lifts its hand, brushes through its own hair, and a single strand falls. Not in the mirror, onto your floor. You bend to pick it up, it's real. The hallway feels longer tonight. The house slightly off kilter. You find yourself turning sideways to fit through spaces that never felt narrow before. One of your sleeves tears on a doorknob. You don't remember the hallway being so cold. In an old temple ruin in Anatolia, there's a carving, a hand combing a tangle of vines with eyes hidden in the thicket. Some say it's symbolic, a goddess of order taming chaos. Others believe it was a ritual depiction, a mythic spirit who brushed the names of the unborn into the roots of trees, where they would stay safe until the right body grew beneath. One scholar referred to her as the untangler. Another less politely called her the midwife with no mouth. Some researchers still argue whether the carving was ever meant to be seen upright. It may have been installed upside down, which is worse, really. You wake up on the hallway floor. The comb is beside you. The braid now extends in both directions. Some hair seems to be going in, some out, like something being threaded. Your fingertips itch. You resist. You fail. One stroke. Just one. Your hand moves on its own. The moment the teeth pass through your hair, you feel something loosen in your neck. Not a muscle, a memory. Your 5th birthday. The green socks. The candle that wouldn't light. You remember the wind inside the house. That memory is gone now. Pulled out. Stolen. Neatly folded into the braid. And you let it happen. You sit against the wall, knees drawn to your chest, trying to count how many combings it would take to forget your name. Another envelope arrives, though this time it's under your pillow. Do not resist. You will only knot yourself. A third line written in what looks like chalk. You were never the one being haunted. The mirrors tonight show you nothing. Not a different you, not a delayed you, just static, like television snow. You don't even own a TV. You sleep without dreams. You wake without hair on your pillow. You check your reflection and see nothing out of place. That's what frightens you most. You've started brushing your hair before bed. It isn't a choice. It's a quiet agreement. You pick up the comb and your hands already know the rhythm. Back and forth. The braid in the teeth never shrinks, only grows. You tell yourself it's better this way. That if you offer something small, she won't take something large. You even hum a little, like it's a lullaby, like you're soothing her. Or soothing yourself into her. The truth. You don't know when you last saw your real hair in the mirror. It still looks like yours, but thinner, paler, a shade less defined. There's a gray film to your reflection now, like wax paper laid over your face. You rub at the glass with your sleeve, but it's not on the surface. It's behind it. Another letter. Arrives, no knock this time. You find it inside your teacup, sealed with wax so soft it melts at your touch. This one isn't written in ink, it's written in hair fine and pale, looped into cursive. The message. You are nearly ready. Below that, pressed into the paper like a whisper, someone folded. Your scalp has forgotten your name. Your shadow will too. And there it is, your shadow lingering just a half step behind. You test it, move your hand, it copies you. But slower now. Duller. Like it's waiting for something to change. Or to be released. It doesn't blink, you do. It watches. You light a candle just to see if the shadow behaves under flicker. It doesn't. It sits still, watching the flame. Watching you through it. You whisper, "What do you want?" And feel your mouth move, but the sound doesn't come from your throat. It comes from the comb. a vibration in the teeth, like strings plucked underwater. There's a medieval European belief that combs placed under pillows could draw out fever dreams and trap them in the hair. Nuns in 14th century France sometimes wove hairs from troubled girls into sacred braid prayers kept in tiny reliquaries beneath their beds. One scholar claimed these relics were later burned not out of purification, but out of fear that something had begun brushing back. Some researchers argue this was all metaphor early psychology wrapped in superstition, but one fragment of a scorched prayer box was found in a convent wall, with hair still embedded in the wax seal. The Latin etched around it, "She will rise through the undone." You begin to notice small things vanishing. Not objects, memories. You forget your sister's voice. Then the smell of your old dog's fur. Then the reason you used to hate Sundays. You feel their shapes like bruises on your mind, but not the details. The braid grows longer. It curls along the table now, loops onto the floor. When you try to brush it away, your fingers pass through it, as if the braid has become a shadow or is made of the parts of you that no longer exist. Another joke, this one makes you laugh sharp and short. Maybe you're not being haunted. Maybe you're being woven. You test the theory. Pull one hair from the braid. It resists, stretches, whines almost, like pulling muscle from bone. You stop, apologize out loud. You don't know who to. You just know that silence follows and it's not forgiving. At night, the comb sits beside you like a pet. Or a shrine. You stop locking the door. It never worked anyway. Another letter. This one slipped between your fingers in a dream and still there when you wake. The last braid will not end in hair. And below it, prepare your face. You go to the mirror. You expect nothing. But the reflection is brushing again. Smiling now. You lean closer and the reflection doesn't move. Its eyes are yours, but clearer, hungrier. It raises the comb. You do not. It brushes your hair. You feel it from inside. The ache at the nape of your neck is dull, almost pleasant. You are being unspooled, unknotted. Every little tangle you've hidden away gently unwound. You begin to feel lighter. So light, so floatless. There's a single phrase stuck in your head. One you don't remember learning but know by rhythm. She brushes you into her face. Your reflection closes its eyes, then opens yours. And now you see her. Not in the mirror, in the space beside it. The figure is made of hair, or what hair once was. Flowing braided strands wrapped in the shape of a woman who never was. She has no face, just suggestion. Shadow and seam, a body woven from absence. She reaches for you not to pull but to comb. And your body leans forward, not with fear, but with permission. You feel the teeth slip through the part in your soul. You are not the first, you are not the last, but tonight you are hers. The comb hums once sweetly, and the last mirror finally smiles without you. You don't speak anymore. There's nothing wrong with your mouth, or your voice, or your throat. But the sounds that used to come from them, names, songs, those long exhaled words you whispered just before sleep. They've been combed out. All your syllables have gone somewhere else now. Curled neatly into the braid. You try once to say your name. It catches in your throat like a splinter. At first this frightens you. Then it quiets you. And then you simply match the silence. You've become good at that. It's easier now to let her do the brushing. Your hands still twitch at the memory of holding the comb, but they're no longer required. She does it in the mirror, behind the mirror, through the mirror. You sit still and wait. Every strand of you is memory. Every strand is thread. She parts you with care. And as she does, she tells you things you do not remember learning. That there were once ancient desert tribes who believed hair when burned improperly would scream. That in Roman times, infants who died in utero were sometimes buried in silence with their mother's comb beside them, not as tribute but as a guide. That in a dig beneath modern Istanbul, a comb was found with the teeth filed down to blunt nubs, as if used not to untangle hair, but something else. Something softer, something that grew behind the eyes. The scholar who analyzed that comb went silent shortly after her paper was rejected. She lives in a lighthouse now, watches the water, brushes her hair twice each night, once forward, once back, then stops. Some researchers still argue whether the hair left behind in abandoned homes holds any record of thought. One daring thesis proposes that the hair-like fossilized resin may trap echoes of decisions never made. She didn't pass her defense. Her comb disappeared the week after. You feel your own decisions leaving. Quietly, like teeth loosening in a dream. The comb has grown. Its handle has lengthened. The teeth have split into branching spines. You wonder if it's still a comb, or if it's become something else. A loom, a spine, a root system. You find another note, folded into the pillowcase. You are almost fully unbraided, and beneath it, your breath is the final thread. Your breath shortens that night. Not dangerously, just less, finer, like mist in a cold room. You see her clearly now. She walks not in steps but in strokes. Her hands never touch the ground. They hover trembling slightly as if she's always partway through a memory. Her hair is endless, not because it's long, but because you can't find where it stops. It loops, it knots, it spools out behind her like a shadow with too many spines. She does not speak. You feel the words instead. She was never born. But she remembers being expected. She was made of all the waiting. You made room. That's what called her. You tried to nod. Or maybe you already did. It's hard to tell what movements are yours now. Your skin feels like cloth. Your fingers like thread. You touch your forehead and find a tiny braid forming there. Tight, delicate, like something preparing to lift free. In the final mirror, the one behind the back of the closet, she is brushing your face. Not through it, into it. And when she finishes, when the last strand falls gently into place, there is no sharpness, no terror, just a hush, a settling, like lint falling onto fabric. Like a name you've always known finally whispered back to you. And now you know the comb never haunted you. You haunted her. You were the one with edges, with noise, with tangles. She came only to smooth the part, to make a place for those never born. And you were kind enough to yield. So she takes your face last. The rest she already wove. Now your mirrors smile, all of them, but none of them with your smile. There is no brush left in your hand, only the weightless shape it used to leave. No hair on your pillow, just the memory of once having dreams. The house is quieter now. The hallway breathes without you, and the mirrors of the mirrors no longer wait for you to pass. Each one holds a gentle figure brushing softly, patiently. Each one holds someone who might have been if time had folded slightly differently. If breath had entered a body and stayed, you will not be remembered by name, but your braid will remain. In the soft hum of an attic rafter, in the strange light behind an old hallway glass, in the hand that picks up the comb next just to see what hums. And it will.